Hey there, welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts On. This time I'm talking about The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Now, The Dark Knight is, in my opinion, a really good movie. It's a film that I watched again and I really liked it. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever. I don't think it's the best DC movie of all time. I don't even think it's my favorite Batman movie. But it is a film that I definitely grew to appreciate and did grow to enjoy after, a little bit of time had passed. I already reviewed the film, you know my thoughts on it. Like Batman Begins, I used to hate the movie because I did not like the fan base, and I kind of retaliated against the film because of the fan base and how they reacted to me uh, saying things like I think Burton's films are better, and so on and so on. Um, but time has passed, and I do appreciate the film for what it is now. It's more of a grounded Batman movie, grounded in a more realistic sort of world. But also do think it's a step up from Batman Begins, especially in the realm of the action. I think the action in this is definitely a little bit better than Batman Begins, especially the fight scenes. They're still not great, but they're tolerable. They're tolerable in this, where I couldn't even stand them in Batman Begins because they were so badly edited. Here, they're tolerable. I can deal with them. Um, and of course, you can't talk about The Dark Knight without talking about Heath Ledger. His one of his last and one of his best performances as an actor. He did a great job playing the Joker. I have to admit, his Joker is, I truly believe, is the main reason why this film is so highly praised and why it's so well remembered by people. Take this Joker out, and the movie's just really not that good. A movie doesn't have enough to carry it because mainly that's kind of how it was written. It was meant to be, in a way, more of the Joker's film than it really is Bruce Wayne or Batman's movie. And so the Joker pretty much dominates the screen, and the whole plan with Harvey Dent is tied in with the Joker. That's because his whole plan is to corrupt Harvey Dent and to turn him evil, and he becomes Two-Face. So, and I liked Aaron Eckhart. I thought he was good. I just wish he had more screen time, and I wish he didn't die. I think that was one problem, definitely a problem I had with the movie, is Two-Face dying. I think that was unnecessary. And I'm not a fan of the cliffhanger ending. I know a lot of people love that ending where it's like he's not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve or whatever. But I don't like that ending. I don't think Batman would take the fall for something he didn't do just so it can make Harvey Dent look good and look good. And I don't think Gotham is so frail that if one of their DAs is all of a sudden ends up being corrupted by a maniac, and everyone's gonna go crazy and lose their minds. I don't think Gotham is that frail of a city. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad. We're one guy out of how many different DAs and how many different people? They still have Commissioner Gordon, who's not corrupted. They still have, and if Batman didn't leave, they'd still have Batman. Why does Batman have to take the fall for what the Joker did? Just to say the Joker did this, and everyone is the wiser. It just seems like it's much ado about nothing to me, this ending of this movie. Which I know a lot of people think it's brilliant and to each their own, but I'm not a fan of it. I think it's unnecessary. Um, and just like I think the scene with the boat is unnecessary too. That just felt tacked on, and it didn't really need to be in the movie, and it dragged out the film longer than it needed to be. I think once you ended the storyline with the Joker and Batman and Harvey Dent, you didn't really need to go any further. But that's just me personally. Bale is alright this time around. He's better as Bruce Wayne in this than he is as Batman. I mean, in the action sequence, he's pretty good as Batman. I mean, the scene with the bike, I really like that with the Bat bike, and the Joker being like, "Hit me," which reminds me of Batman '89 and the whole scene where Chad Nicholson has a long gun. He's like, "Come on, hit me!" I was like, "Is that really a sort of reference to Batman '89, or what is it?" It sounds like it's kind of a reference to Batman '89 to me. But anyway, so I like that. I like that sequence. The truck flips over. It's a good practical effect. And but yeah, like I was saying before, Bale's Batman. What the fuck? Why do we have to have him sound like he has throat cancer when he's just talking to Commissioner Gordon? This is when the film series started to go awry with Batman for me. Because in Batman Begins, he sounded fine. He only did the growl when he was trying to be intimidating, which made sense. When he's being like, "Swear to me!" That makes sense. But when he's just speaking normally, no. This makes no sense to talk like that. To be like, "Commissioner, uh, sounds like he's out of breath. Which would make sense. He's in this really big fucking tight suit that probably doesn't have that much. He's probably sweating all the time. He's probably freaking exhausted. But yeah, I just I don't like the bat. I don't like the bat voice in these movies. It sounds like he swallowed a bunch of razor blades and drank a bottle of Jack Daniels. If I could fucking say the word, a bottle. Drank a bottle of Jack Daniels and maybe poured some Ajax down there. It sounds terrible. It's just not intimidating to me. It's just laughable. Um, and it's hard to understand what Batman is saying. The whole stuff scene where he's with the Joker and he's like, "Where is it? Where is it? Where is the Joker?" And it it was ripe for comedy. Then you have Badman, which I like, with college humor with Pete Holmes, and you have Monkey and Apple, who did this hilarious thing where they did this. Monkey and Apple, he did this one where he played Batman and the Joker, and it's the Joker can't understand him, and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you like? Are you speaking bats? Is that why? Because I can't understand you. Like I'm hearing word. I just hear noises coming out. See, I don't. I don't understand. I see fists. I see fists coming out, but I don't see any. I don't hear any words. I don't hear anything. And then he even goes like, "See, that's what you sound like." Oh. It's fucking laughable. Nobody makes fun of Keaton's Batman. Where is he? Nobody makes fun of that. Nobody makes fun of Kevin Conroy for a reason, because they don't sound like they're death metal singers from a death metal band. I'm Batman. you know, they don't. It sounds stupid to me. I'm the Dark Knight of Gotham City. This is stupid. But that fucking chair stop squeaking. Fucking drive me nuts. Stop! Stop squeaking! For fuck's sake! You get some fucking WD-40 or some shit on this thing. Uh, but anyway, yeah, the sequences of the action bits with Batman I don't mind, but I hate his voice. Commissioner Gordon's great as usual. Gary Oldman is fantastic. I have a hard time saying fucking words right now for some reason. Gary Oldman is fantastic. Michael Caine is good as Alfred. Heath Ledger is great as a Joker. It's not my favorite interpretation of the Joker. My favorite film version of the Joker is still Jack Nicholson, but Heath Ledger still does a great job. May he rest in peace. Um, and Morgan Freeman's good as Lucius Fox, a little bit that he has. Uh, and The film I thought was thrilling. It was interesting. It was intriguing. I liked the story. I got into it. Um, except when you had scenes with Batman kind of acting kind of dumb, saying stuff like, "At least I'm not wearing hockey pants." Which I guess the whole thing is that there was like Batman impersonators running around. And I get why you said that, but it just sounds stupid to me. Um but yeah, the film has its fair share of good scenes, great moments, great shots. Nolan does a great job directing it, even though it does feel he's kind of doing his version of Michael Mann's Heat, but with Batman in it. It definitely is. It's a crime drama with Batman in it. But, I think it works because Batman is more tied to the real world than, for example, Superman. So it was all right. I think it was actually a decent match. I think you could have had a little bit more fun with the characters, but for his universe, it was a good thing. They did a good job. Um, like I said, it was a bit over long. You could have cut some things out. I didn't really like the climax. I didn't really like the ending, and but there were definitely things about it I liked. Hans Zimmer's score I didn't mind. I liked the bits with the Bat Bike. The stuff with the Joker was good. I think he could have had a little bit more sense of humor because all you really have is like the pencil trick and he laughed, but it didn't really seem like he didn't really seem like he had that sense of humor. I mean, not even really some black humor either. It just seemed like the only thing you had was the pencil trick scene, and then everything else was just. There really didn't seem like the Joker was really humorous. It was more sadistic than anything else. I'm more talking about you want to see how I got these scars. It was just like not really a lot of. It was definitely a different interpretation, but it worked. That being said, as much as I like the film, I still think it is one of the most overrated movies of all time. I'm just saying. And before anybody gets on my case, overrated does not mean bad. Overrated does not automatically equal that the movie is bad. I know some people will hear the word overrated, they'll freak out and they'll be like, it's not doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean I think the movie's bad. I just don't think this film is miles better than most of the other DC movies. I don't think it's miles better than Batman 89. I don't think it's miles better than Batman Returns. I don't think it's miles better than Superman the movie. I don't think it's miles better than Superman 2. I don't even think it's miles better than Superman 3, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but that's how I feel. I don't think it's miles better than a lot of these other movies. I don't think it's miles better than all these other superhero movies. I don't think it's miles better than all these comic book films. I don't think it deserves the status that some people have put it as the number one best action movie in the past 2 decades or something, the past decade or so. I mean, that's ridiculous. It barely has any action in it. It's not an action film. It's a crime drama with Batman in it. To say it's one of the best action movies in the past decade or so is just absurd to me. The amount of praise this film gets kind of ridiculous. It's over the top to me. It's like I understand. It's a good movie. It has some great elements to it. It's got some good shots. The cinematography is great. The directing is good. The story is engaging on more than one occasion. The cast does a good job of what they're asked to do. But and it has some pretty fun action bits when they are there. But it's not a lot of action. So it's not the best action movie the past decade or so. And it's not the best movie ever. And that's the thing. That's where I see it all the time in these lists. Like it's the best. It's number one on all the over all the DC movies. It's number one over all the comic book movies. I'm like I like a ton of other movies better, superhero movies and comic book movies better than The Dark Knight. I do. Like the ratings it gets on IMDb is like way too high, and it's just like I don't honestly think it's head and shoulders better than everything else. And that's why I think it is one of the most overrated films of all time. Doesn't mean I hate it. Doesn't mean I think it's bad. But I personally do feel it's overrated. I don't think it deserves its status as being considered a perfect masterpiece of the highest order and one of the greatest movies of all time. But that's just me personally. If you feel that way, that's fine with me. But this is just my feelings. It's called My Thoughts. So these are my thoughts. But that being said, I still like the movie. I like it a hell of a lot more than The Dark Knight Rises, which I fucking hate. I hate The Dark Knight Rises. The less I talk about The Dark Knight Rises, the better. I already did like a 3 or 4 part rant about the film a long time ago. I hate this movie. I hate it even more now that I've learned to appreciate and enjoy Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Because it's a shitty, lackluster, pathetic way to end the trilogy. You could tell that Nolan did not have his heart into this movie. He was just contractually obligated to do it, and so he did it. And it shows. This is definitely his weakest film. And this is coming from a guy who loves Interstellar. And I'm willing to give Inception another chance. And I've learned to like The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. But I don't like The Dark Knight Rises. It just takes too many different comic book storylines and just butchers them. It takes Night's End and fucks it up. It takes Nightfall and fucks it up. It takes No Man's Land and fucks it up. It takes all these different storylines which would work for their own movie, especially Nightfall. That could work for a 2-part animated film. You could do Nightfall and Night's End. I want to see that. They did the Dark Knight Returns. I want to see DC do Nightfall and Night's End. Please do that. I would love to see that storyline done justice, because it isn't done justice in this movie. It isn't. It's fucking ruined. You take all the Arkham is broken out after Batman gets his back broken. Why? Well, it makes more sense. Yeah, but it's not very interesting. It's not as interesting cinematically. In the comic, it was a very fun and exciting, thrilling sequence, and it was a lot of. It really took Batman to its limits. It would have been nice to see on film, to see this Christian Bale Batman be taken further than he's ever been taken before, in terms of his limits, in terms of his limitations. And in Nightfall, Bane breaks out Arkham, and Batman has to round up all of these criminals and try to keep them in check, and this exhausts him mentally and physically. And he actually manages to do the impossible, and he does manage to do it. But he tries to take a rest in the Batcave. He thinks it's over, but Bane is waiting for him. And it was all Bane's plan. And he wore him down physically, emotionally, so he could break him. And that's just so much more effective to me than getting tricked by Catwoman, falling for one of the oldest tricks in the book, and getting his ass beat by Bane in the most anticlimactic and lame way imaginable. The fight was fucking shitty. In the comic, it's so much better. In the movie, it's just uh, 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 and then take his mask and throw it. That's it. Oh, it's more realistic. I don't. Realism in this movie is really not. This is a movie where you have a flying Batmobile in it, and like Batman surviving a neutron blast in like 5 seconds. I mean, this is the Nolan film where reality got thrown out the window. And I forgot to mention this when I was talking about The Dark Knight, but I hate how Gotham looks in these sequels. It's boring. It's just downtown Chicago in the rain. Um, and that's not really what Gotham looked like in Batman Begins. It had its own sort of style to it, and that just goes away for some reason in these sequels. It's just downtown Chicago. Um, I did not like Catwoman in this. I did not like Anne Hathaway. I thought she was, in essence, pretty much just ripping off Michelle Pfeiffer, down to the whole scene where she's putting a mask over her face and trying to flirt with Bruce in a costume party. And I know her origin is closer to what it is in the comics, but I still think her performance, there's nothing to it, and I think for the most part, she's just ripping off the essence of Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns. And it doesn't help either that she's the one that basically kills Bane in another anticlimactic sequence. Bane gets shot like a bitch. He dies like a bitch in this movie, like he died like a bitch in Batman and Robin. He dies like a bitch in both movies. Great. And he's also somebody's lackey, like he was in Batman and Robin. He was basically he was Poison Ivy's lackey in that film, and in this movie he's Kalia's lackey. which happens in like an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong style type of twist, where it wasn't Bane who climbed out of that well, it was Dahlia! And then she dies and I've literally, her performance when she dies, Marion Cotillard, when she dies, like, it's just like, Cotillard, when she dies, is like, huh. And the Oscar goes to Miss Cotillard for her death scene in The Dark Knight Rises. Says no one ever. She crashes her car, and she's like, ugh. Um, you have and this film also suffers from having 50 fucking different plots going on at once. Too many characters. You got Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, and I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but his character, why is he in this movie? He's there. I guess he figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, just like that. It's really easy. And I guess he's Robin. It's setting him up to be Robin, and it doesn't go anywhere. And there's a cringe-inducing moment near the end where like his first name or his middle name is Robin or some shit. So fucking lame. And then you have like, what is it, Matthew Modine's character? Who can fucking care? I don't even know his name. Who fucking cares about that character? Then you have all these other fucking problems. Like, why the hell would Gotham PD send all of their police force to one location to stop Bane? They're just asking to get trapped, and that's what happens. They all get trapped, and it's just for the convenience of the plot. Talk about no one wants to be realistic. That's not realistic in the slightest. There's not one single police. No police force is going to send everyone they have to one location. They're going to send a SWAT team or a group of people. They're not sending everyone. And then when they get out, they fight the inmates, the convicts, and with no weapons, like it's fucking 300 or some shit. Oh, and then of course you have when Batman gets his back broken. Oh wait, it's not broken. It's like his back is, his spine gets dislocated a little bit, and how does he fix it? Some guy puts a rope on his back and to punch him in the back. That's not how you fix a slipped disc. That's gonna make shit worse. And then he tries to climb up out of the well with this rope, and he falls like 2 times, and he doesn't like put his back out again. And then he somehow gets into Gotham City, despite there being no way to get in there. The bridge was blown up. He had no money. He had no resources. He was basically in the middle of nowhere. I know he's Bruce Wayne. I know he's really smart. He's really intelligent. But even Bruce Wayne's gonna have a hard time getting into Gotham from this predicament. And honestly, it would be interesting to see Bruce Wayne find a way to use his intelligence and his smarts to find a way to get into Gotham when you would think it would be impossible. But no, we never see that. He just shows up in Gotham and then burns a bat symbol on a building like he's a fucking crow. And then the little fight scenes you have in this, once again, they're not as bad as Batman Begins, but there's still not much to them. You have the stuff with the bat, which it's not going to call it the Batwing. Oh, because he doesn't have a Batwing. He has a flying Batmobile, flying tumbler that he calls the Bat, which I think is kind of lame and lazy, if you ask me. And no one's like, it's realistic, super realistic, grounded in reality, and a flying bat, a flying fucking tumbler. Not realistic. A hovering tumbler. We don't have flying cars. Those don't exist. But, I'd be willing to deal with it if he embraced that side of Batman from the beginning, but he didn't. So that's why it just seems so out of place in this movie. Same thing goes with the jokes he has with Catwoman, which is why this doesn't really fit. And then speaking of jokes, it's a big joke to me that Batman would retire for 8 years because his sort of girlfriend died and Harvey Dent died, a guy he barely even knew, who then got corrupted and actually killed people. Yeah, Batman's gonna shed a tear for Harvey Dent, for Two-Face. No, he's not going to. He's not gonna be, oh my god, Harvey Dent. I feel so bad about Harvey Dent. Oh, Rachel Dawes, she died. And speaking of that, sorry, I didn't mention Maggie Gyllenhaal. She was better than Katie Holmes. I liked her more than Katie Holmes, I have to give her that. Going back to The Dark Knight, I think she was pretty good in it. Um, But no, Batman's not gonna be like, oh, Rachel Dawes died, I'm gonna retire for 8 years. Bullshit! He didn't retire for 8 years after The Mask of the Phantasm. He didn't do that. He's not gonna retire for 8 fucking years because his sort of girlfriend died. She wasn't even his girlfriend at the time. Yeah, he loved her, but they weren't an item anymore. He's not gonna retire, period. That's fucking stupid. So he retires for 8 years. He's like a cripple. I'm like, wow, he was only Batman for like a year and a half, and he's already a cripple. Okay, so he's walking around with a cane. He's got a like on his trailer said, he's got a gross depression beard. He's got a gross depression beard, and he's walking around with a cane. And then he gets his ass embarrassed by Selena Kyle, who fucking trips his ass and steals shit from him. Like, wow, this is great. This is just embarrassing. Just what I want to see. Bruce Wayne get Bruce Wayne get tripped and then fall on his fucking face. And then you have Bane himself, which is fucking. I mean, why is Bane in this? You take away Bane's venom, you take away Bane's biggest strength. Yes, he's intelligent. Yes, he's smart. But you take away his venom, he's just like any other henchman. He's just a smarter henchman. He's just a repeat of Ross. But he's just got more muscles than Liam Neeson. And he sounds like Sean Connery. It's fucking laughable. That's right. I expected a door. What the fuck? I don't even understand what the fuck he's saying half the time. This is. I was born on the Justice restaurant. I was born in it. It just sounds laughable to me. And I have a hard time understanding what the fuck he's saying. He sounds like a fucking broken speaker at a drive-through where you can't understand what the fuck the guy on the other end is saying. Sounds like the Charlie Brown's teacher. And then Batman's not much better either. So it's like you need fucking subtitles for this movie. Whenever Batman is talking to Bane, it's like. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck are you two saying? And I just find it laughable. The Bane sounding like Sean Connery and Batman being like, and then he gets his ass kicked too easily. He gets fucking shanked. Batman gets shanked in this movie. That's how he gets beat. He gets fucking shanked. And then somehow he survives a fucking explosion in like 5 seconds. It's a neutron bomb. And the climax of this movie is not only cliched, oh, it's a bomb. He has to stop a bomb in the city. Like the scene in Batman Forever with Two-Face. He's trying to blow up the circus, and then Robin and Batman teamed up and then like threw the bomb into the ocean like that. Or it's just a bigger budgeted version of the sequence in Batman the movie with Adam West, where Batman has like a bomb and he has to get rid of it and throws it off a pier. It's basically the same shit. Why is we have to deal with a bomb again? A bomb? Another bomb in Gotham? Like, we haven't seen that enough in these Batman movies. So yeah, he survives a neutron explosion. He's drinking coffee with Catwoman in the end, and he's retired. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt finds a suit, finds a Batcave, and goes nowhere because there's not going to be a spinoff with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Batman or as Robin or Nightwing. It's not going to happen. And then the movie, one of the biggest problems the film has is just so boring. It's so fucking boring. 40 minutes until Batman finally shows up in a Batman movie. And when he does, it's very underwhelming. He shows up on his bike. He shoots something at a van. It's a very lame chase. It's fucking. There's not much to it. And then, he gets trapped, gets tricked easily by Catwoman. And then he fucking trusts her later. After she's the one that got his back broken. And she's like, yeah, I trust you. You tricked me. You almost got me killed. Would I trust you? And how about I lay a kiss on your lips because I think you're hot? I mean, it's just what? Why does he trust her so easily? It's for the plot convenience, so Batman and Catwoman could team up at the end of the movie. And then you have the stuff where the convicts get out and then they start punching each. It's just lame. It's all these convicts just fighting and Batman just punching Bane with all these other people punching other people. And it's just a shot and a wide shot. It's just there's nothing to it. You don't get any adrenaline. There's no thrills. This movie's just boring. Christopher Gordon, Gary Oldman does the best he can with what he's asked to do, but he's barely in the film. Matthew Modine has more screen time, and he's fucking lame, and I don't even remember what the fuck his character's name is, like I said earlier. Um, you have, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but he's not given much to do either. And then you have, Lucius Fox, not much to do. Michael Caine doesn't have much to do. He even gives up on Bruce. Even after he says, I'll never give up on you, he fucking leaves. Of course, then he eventually comes back, but it's just like, eh. And Bane's a shitty villain. And like the most memorable action sequence is when they blow up a stadium. When Bane blows up a stadium, and old man Hines Ward ends up outrunning an explosion, which I'm like, bullshit. He was what, like in his late 30s, and at that time, he's not outrunning a fucking explosion. Yeah. Might as well just be the whole movie. The whole movie's just imploded upon it in upon itself. It just because of its tedious, slow pace, its performances that for the most part are just I mean, Failed is okay what he's asked to do, but then Batman is still sounding like he's got throat cancer. And Batman isn't much of a badass in this either, which is a problem. And then Bane sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. And then, it's just not much of anything. I mean, even the sequence where Bane, is on the plane and it's in midair. Yeah, it's a good stunt, it's well shot, but I saw that done better in Cliffhanger. It's just, I don't care for the movie. I think it's an absolute snooze fest of epic proportions. It's one of the most boring films I've ever seen in my life. And definitely one of the worst DC comic book films I've seen, and definitely one of the worst comic book movies I've seen, period. And I honestly do feel that way. There's too many plots going on, plot threads happening at once. A lot of them are kind of pointless, like with Matthew Modine, cut his fucking ass out of the movie, he's fucking useless. Um, and there's not a lot of action in it. The story isn't intriguing like The Dark Knight was. At least for me, it wasn't intriguing or interesting. Bane wants to do something with Wall Street, wants to take away Bruce Wayne's finances or whatever the fuck, does it a little bit too easily. And, then you have the whole thing where he breaks Batman, and the sequence is what, like 30 fucking seconds? It just sucks. I don't understand. I don't get all of the high praise this gets. I don't get it. I swear a lot of the critics, I mean, over 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, I think that's only there because a lot of the critics didn't have the balls to tell the fanboys, you know what? I didn't like the movie. In fact, I thought it sucked. But they didn't have the balls to say that because the fanboys freaked out and were all like sending death threats to critics before they even saw the movie. And this is kind of fucked up. This is even more fucked up when you think about it with these death threats stuff because, you know, there were people actually shot in the theater that was showing The Dark Knight Rises. So you would think that some of these Nolan fans, not all of them, but some of them, would, hold back and not send death threats and not do that kind of stuff since people actually died in the theater showing the movie. But, what do I know? But, yeah, that's honestly the worst thing I could think of about this movie is that tragedy, the shooting that happened in a theater, I think it was in Colorado that was showing this movie. That's like the worst thing I could think of that was related to this film. The movie itself, I don't care for. I think it's a boring slog to sit through. But, even at its worst, it's not worse than, what happened in that theater. And I just wanted to make that clear. But, As a movie, not a fan. Not a fan of The Dark Knight Rises. As my friends like to call it, The Dark Knight Pisses. I agree. The Dark Knight Pisses. It's a disappointment. It's dull. It's boring. It's lackluster. The action when it is there is forgettable. The new characters don't really have that much to do, or they don't really feel like they belong. The plot just is completely uninteresting and uninvolving to me. And it just takes great storylines and just it just puts them in a shredder or puts them in a blender and blends them together and just gives you a cup of it and says, "Here, drink it." And I'm like, "No, this tastes like shit. It looks like shit, and it is shit, and I don't want it. I don't want it. Why did you do that?" But it was successful in the box office. It made money. Critics like it, and if you like it, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people like it. People like me seem to be in the minority with The Dark Knight Rises. But I hate this movie. I hate it. I hate everything about it for the most part. The only things I can think of that are any good is maybe the cinematography, bits of the score by Hans Zimmer, but even that wasn't really that memorable. And like the supporting cast, Gary Oldman did a good job of what he was asked to do. So did Morgan Freeman, and so did Michael Caine. And Bale was okay as Bruce Wayne, but as Batman, no. But that's really about it. I can't think of anything else in terms of what to say about The Dark Knight Rises. But anyway, thank you for watching. My thoughts on The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. And as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.